Awesome. Welcome everybody today. I'm so glad you're here for our first 2026 Diverse Abilities panel. And we're happy to do this one on complementary therapies and different services in the community that we have. They're awesome that are here today. We have five great panelists that are going to talk about their organizations. I am Jenny Paxson from the Webster Public Library. I do our fiction collection, our technology classes, and I have a very soft spot in my heart for disability programming because I have two children who have disabilities, and I just want to help people in the community make connections. I've made a great connection with Parents Helping Parents Coalition of Monroe County, and they're just a fabulous organization, and they help out kiddos in the community, parents make that connection. Our parents in the community are our best resources, and they say great things about different organizations, and that's how we get connections like we have here today. So without further ado, I'm going to have Britt come up here and talk a little bit about Parents Helping Parents. Here you go.
I usually drop it. Hello, my name is Brittany Jensick. I am the president of Parents Helping Parents Coalition of Monroe County. I also am a mom to 21 children, 14 of whom have intellectual, developmental, and medical disabilities. I was very fortunate to have support services when my children were young. We had early intervention. We had a ton of early intervention therapists and the preschool special ed, school age, and things changed, and there aren't the therapists. There's a provider shortage. A lot of families are struggling. So Danielle Salamone and Kim Dewar and I developed Parents Helping Parents Coalition to support some of the families in the community, help them make connections with other families, with therapists, with complementary therapies, with other resources that are in the community so that nobody has to walk this journey alone. Because it's tough enough when you have a village, it's nearly impossible when you're alone. So we are thrilled to have you guys here. We're really glad to be able to make those connections for other families in the community. We're glad to hear about what you guys have to offer. I learn something new every time we do this. And we are going to get started with having you guys each introduce yourself and then maybe a little bit about your organization and kind of what you're hoping to share. And then usually we go into some questions for you guys. Usually after you give your little 5 minutes or whatever, we have about 7,000 questions. So without further ado, we will let you guys introduce yourselves.
My name is Dave Nikita. I'm the owner of Strike Back Martial Arts, which is located now in Irondequoit, the old Irondequoit Mall. We work out of the Irondequoit Community Center, and we offer programs specific to kids and teens and adults with different developmental disabilities. Specialized in autism and Down syndrome, but we're open to anyone and everyone. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tuller. I'm the founder and executive director of Abilities Movements. Abilities Movements, kind of a twofold thing. Is our goal is to help people of all abilities, all ages, all levels, move and engage in the communities. And the second aspect of Abilities Movement is to really try to help communities, businesses, I think to really kind of open up opportunities for people of all levels and all abilities. So some of the key things that we focus on, primarily we work a lot with adapted fitness. And when I say adapted fitness is we take an individual or family that in their community, draw a 5-mile radius and say, how can I help you engage within your community? So really helping them access fitness centers, recreation centers, accessing parks. I'm a big outdoors person, so I love to teach them a variety of different things they want to learn. So like now it's wintertime, so snowshoeing, Nordic skiing, all types of levels of different programming. Really kind of working from severe medical needs in home, doing functional fitness, to right up to helping them high-level athletes engage. This young man this year, we're going to go and help him do a triathlon and stuff like that. So fun things like that. So the adaptive fitness is something that I'm really passionate about, but we started to say, how can we help train the community? So we had a grant through the Golisano Foundation to train 3 fitness centers and train trainers, help provide adaptive equipment to help them open up more opportunities because there's a huge need for adaptive fitness and movement. So that's one area that we work with. I do adaptive PE consulting. I go to the school districts to help with PE and help with integration strategies. Working with a school district for a couple of years, a couple of school districts, and it's going really well. They've started to expand into art and music. I was just saying that I need to have some art and music professionals to come in as well. But as far as integration strategies and training staff. The other area that we've really been working on, I love outdoor programming, so we have an adapted kayaking center. I work with Erie Canal Boat Company. I have about 16 different kayaks at Homestead for Hope. We're looking to expand into the Genesee Waterway and offer a variety of opportunities for all levels. So somebody in a wheelchair, we can get them from a lift right into it, to somebody who needs to learn from on land to going into the canal. So variety of ways to help. And we work with the On the Canals program through New York Power Authority. So all the programming is free for all individuals. So that's a lot of fun. And then we have like an adapted hiking club we just started with REI. We got a grant, and we're purchasing a lot of adapted equipment to help people engage in the woods and get into trails. So I have this thing called a Huckleberry Hiker. Basically, I can get somebody in a wheelchair into the woods, and hopefully we're going to try to get one of our clients up to a high peak, stuff like that. So variety of things, but just really trying to help them access the community, move, enjoy things at whatever level they are. Like our hiking program, we have trails that are accessible for wheelchair users, and things like that. And then finally, we're just really trying to make a systems change. And we're kind of developing a group called the Rock Inclusive Collective with Anita O'Brien, Carolee Fennessy, and all those guys to really try to help with a few changes. Transportation is a huge one, and then resource development. So connecting together now and really try to centralize information to give to families. So thank you.
I'm Sarah Barron. I am the owner of Spotted Rabbit Studio. We are a group practice of about 13 art therapists. We offer individual art therapy and also individual creative arts classes. We are also currently launching a number of group classes, partnering with different community organizations and some just at our location. Our specialty is neurodivergence, LGBTQ, and trauma work. Most of our therapists are neurodivergent themselves, and also a lot of them are LGBTQ, trans. So we really represent the people that we work with. We've been working with folks with developmental disabilities since the beginning. So with our creative classes, I think a lot of times folks are very resistant to come to therapy and be fixed and be told there's something wrong with them. But through art, they can have fun making something, and we can work on soft skills like frustration tolerance and communication just through the act of making. And we have locations in Brighton, on Monroe Ave, and also in Pittsford. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Sarah McLaughlin. I'm the Senior Director of Programming at Equicenter. Equicenter started out primarily as a therapeutic riding program, and throughout time we've evolved. So now the language we use is adaptive riding. We also offer unmounted horsemanship opportunities, so that's lessons on the ground, working with the horses, maybe not riding for sure, but working on things like grooming or leading different areas that they're maybe interested in that can develop all the way up to exercising the horses or going deeper down an education plan of learning how to have your own horse or lunging them, exercising them. The lessons are really customized for each individual and their goals. For others, maybe it's just grooming every single week because that connection is so important in the world. We've also evolved to add a 2-acre organic practice farm on land on our 200 acres that we're on. So we've got a ton of programming available for individuals interested in participating. We started a launch last year of something called Farm Friends, and that is an activity on the farm. We've changed the times around a little bit, but they're doing like nature photography, some structured walks, bird watching, things like that. Programs for people to get involved, get outside, and be together. We also have something called Social Squad that meets once a month. That's an activity for individuals over the age of 18. We added a cooking program for that also, so we have Social Squad and Social Squad cooking. And what am I forgetting? We've got something called Heal Field Trips. So that's horticulture and equine active learning, where we take both sides of what we offer and put them together. We work really hard to find grant funding, so most of those are low or no cost to the school districts interested in attending, and those are booked Monday, Wednesday, and Friday throughout the year. So within those, We have maple syruping and beekeeping, honeybees on site where people can get dressed in suits and get to learn about how the honeybees impact the world, and get to do even a hive inspection, which is pretty fun to watch, and something that I think people don't really know about us. I think people think Equicenter and always think just horses. We've got so much more. We also do a summer program. We don't call it summer camp, we call it summer program because it is education based, and we keep all of our programming like we offer open to everyone. So it is a summer program opportunity. And the social squad cooking I mentioned, lots of things going on at Equicenter, all nature-based.
Hi, my name is Chad Casano. I own Casano Studio, and for the last 8-9 years I've been teaching the art of voice acting, which I didn't truly know it was going to be anything at all. I really just wanted to get into acting. I had a history of acting, and I had a little teeny tiny studio that I built. But one day I put my name out there, and I got a call from a mom whose son is on the autism spectrum, and it was like magic. It was just something that was life changing. And from there, I teach all people of all abilities the art of voice acting, and it has been truly remarkable. In the 8 years, I went from one person to over 100 people that wanted to do everything from TV work. So we built a TV studio. They wanted to do radio commercials, so we did radio commercials. They wanted to get into podcasting, so we did podcasting, broadcasting, audio dramas, all sorts of really cool things. We even have on our staff an animator, and currently we're in the works of creating our very first original animation, which I'm really excited about. And I've been overjoyed. My wife and I laugh about this because when she saw the first couple of people come in, my wife couldn't believe that anybody would want to come back and do it again. She's going, wait, they're coming back to do voice acting? I said, yeah. So, but she's been a huge part. She's been a huge part of the business as well. My wife's huge and instrumental in scheduling and billing and working with so many people's their times and getting them scheduled. We're currently at 3 studios, physical studios, one in Webster, one in East Rochester, and we have a new one in Geneseo. And I didn't realize this, but my name got spread all the way to New York City. So I have students that come to me online from New York City and Plattsburgh. So I'm in every corner of New York State, which has been truly remarkable. And I got so many cool success, miraculous stories, so I'm hoping to share that with you today. Thank you for having me.
So you were saying about success stories and that, but how do you get a student who, like, how do they get started in it? Sometimes, like with my child, they're a little bit more obstinate, and like getting them into the program, and like how does that, like, I'm intrigued to start with you, because like my daughter has Down syndrome and autism, and like what does that look like when a student comes in and is starting your program?
Well, there's never any pressure on our end for anyone to immediately jump in and participate. I always say, listen, if you want to watch and if you want to jump in and try something, feel free, or you can jump right in. It's entirely up to you. We don't do anything cookie cutter, and it sounds crazy, but we keep class sizes small so that I can know exactly how to work with you, and how to work with you, and how to work with you. But we have a great class, kind of like that group dynamic that brings the person in. Everybody there is in the same situation. By that I mean, especially like for our autism classes or even the Downs classes. Listen, we're all there to see what we can do and get people moving. I don't dumb anything down. I change the way in which I present material, maybe a little bit slower or maybe a little bit more piecemeal, but it's the same exact material that I'm teaching in my other classes. I think it's just a matter of supports, both from the family as well as the ones that I offer. I'm not an expert, and I tell people that. And the instructors that help me out, we're not experts with this. I have 2 kids with developmental disabilities, so I get it from a parent standpoint. But, I encourage the parents, listen, if there's something you need me to know on how to really get your son or daughter involved, let me know, because then I'll incorporate that as well. Or if you actually need to come out and participate, that's fine too. It's not, hey, I got this, go, get on your phone. I need your help sometimes. I think it's just, come on, try it. Even if they only participate in one activity that we do. And, everyone, well, how do we measure success? I don't know. How do you measure success? What are you looking for your son or daughter to get out of this program? And I ask everybody that, because everybody's different. It could be from being patient, waiting to take your turn, to participating in whatever activity I'm having them do. So there's no real good answer to your question, is what I've been trying to kind of beat around the bush with.
I don't think you answered it very well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think development of trust, I think, is a big thing when you first meet. When we first meet a family and an individual, it's just that development of trust and just understanding and meeting where their abilities are and saying, how do we build from there? And in a progression that's going to help them and not feel overwhelmed. Like you're just saying, there's no cookie cutter. It's like, okay, just like I remember Fairport Little League saying, hey, could you write a trifold brochure on how to coach individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities? I said, in a trifold brochure? I'm like, I can come in and do classes, but there's just no way to do that, So I think it's just understanding the individuals, understanding their abilities, and meeting where they are, and developing appropriate progressions and goals. But I'll tell you, and anybody who knows me, it's just having fun. Be a kid. I mean, I'm usually just a kid. I get to play all day, and when you approach it that way and you create that fun environment. I have this one thing, and then I'll let the panelists talk, but I just trained a amazing fitness center in Henrietta called Great Day Personal Training. And we had a group of 6 individuals come in and do a group fitness class, personal training, and this young woman that I've known for years, and she's very quiet, doesn't say hardly any word. That girl, man, she got up and was demonstrating, coaching people. I'm just like, who are you? You know what I mean? It's just creating that environment, that's that supportive environment, and developing that trust, fun, and just engaging and listen. I mean, I learn more from them a lot of times than they learn from me. And that's what we have to do as practitioners and people working in the field, is learn to listen. So.
Yeah, so at Spotted Rabbit, we really start with a tour first before anyone jumps in. So we have folks come in with their parents, with their supports, and we talk about what are they looking for, what do they like to do, have them bring in artwork they've already made. We are unique in that we have so many different options for materials. We have a wood shop, we do ceramics, hand-built, we have a kiln on site, we do mixed media, we do a lot of fiber arts, crocheting, knitting, felting, weaving, drawing, online, digital stuff, all sorts, photography, you name it, we do it. So, we're really able to, and because our sessions are individual based, we're able to just jump right into what an individual is interested in. A lot of formal arts classes, like if you go to the MAG, they're great, but they're gonna have you drawing circles and drawing the human body. And what happens when you have a client that is just interested in drawing dogs? Well, we can just draw dogs. We can draw dogs all day, And so we start with things that they're interested in. And, if their goal is to kind of build that frustration tolerance, we can add in, okay, we're going to try a different material today, or we're going to try a different technique. But really, it's just based on their personal values. And I think that's how our entire practice, no matter who we're working with, is really focused on what are your personal values and goals, and how do we help you achieve them, not what society says they should be.
we're similar at Equicenter. We start with a tour and an orientation to kind of our facility because there's a lot going on in a lot of places. We then work really hard to pair the student with the right instructor because I think there is a dynamic. If you need someone that's going to be down on the ground and playing with you, I have a couple instructors that's going to be outside of their comfort zone. So I really work hard to pair people with the right match. And then to build off what you said, establishing that level of trust, I think part of that comes with meeting people exactly where they are, right? I don't have a force like, we're gonna put the helmet on, we're getting on today, you're gonna do this. Maybe we spend 5 weeks actually just working on putting the helmet on, and that's okay, that is all right. Part of having that initial evaluation and orientation and establishment of the facility helps us to then establish what those goals can be for the next couple weeks moving forward. And if the goal of the lesson is to get the helmet on, then we're not going to put you in the adaptive riding program. We're going to keep you in unmounted until you're ready to go to that. So we're setting people up to be successful and to help meet those goals that they're creating, or their caregivers coming to us are helping us to establish for individuals based on where they're looking for the services to help support them.
Yeah, what everybody is saying here, I take a little bit of piece of that too. We don't have, if you've ever been in a recording studio, they're not enormous. There's not a whole lot of touring to do necessarily, but they like to get around, they like to touch things and look at things. And trying to find out what they want to do is really important. I definitely agree with every one of these folks here. Somebody might want to get into anime. Somebody might want to do games. Somebody might want to do broadcasting. But one of the things that I try to do in every first lesson, when I'm first meeting that individual, most of the time I'm meeting people that they have very little confidence that they can do it, right? I'm sure a lot of you all had similar experience. And one of my philosophies, one of my thought processes of teaching any of those classes is to get them to do something tiny, really good.
Small goals.
And then I praise them for it. And then what you find when you get them to do something small is they think they can do the big thing. And all of a sudden, and everybody here I think is going to agree with me on this, you no longer have a student that lacks confidence. All of a sudden they gain a lot of confidence. And they can do some pretty remarkable things. So we can all do that very quickly by just getting them to experience. I like what you said. Sometimes you get a student that just wants to play connect the dots. Something easy, something simple. Sometimes that's all it is. I had one particular student, all they wanted to do was to go into the microphone and hear what they sounded like in the headphones. And the mom came to me later and said, this individual does not talk hardly at all at home. And to hear this individual actually speak was unbelievable to this mom. So I hope that answered the question. I'm going on a bit of a rant.
Yeah.
But meeting those individuals for the very first time, you want to be cautious, but I'm always trying to get them to become an expert at something tiny. If they've never said a tongue twister before, maybe we break up the tongue twister and we get them to do little bits of the tongue twister. And then all of a sudden they could do Peter Piper like that. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I said earlier that a lot of these families don't have the therapists or the providers or the supports they need, and I think that's a huge obstacle for families these days, trying to get children involved in activities or camps or outdoors or gyms, public places, all of the above. What kind of supports do you guys have, or do you allow families to bring in order to, how do you meet the needs of the children that might need a little bit higher level of support than just, hey, I'm dropping my kid off at 2:00 and, I'll pick them back up at 3?
We encourage, if there's supports that the kids need, we talk with the parents beforehand as well to kind of get a feel for who we're working with. But we've had outside support that the parents bring with them and come out on the floor and work with us just as well. We try to do some one-on-one during the program that, we're specifically, now I'm going to be with you and we're going to work together. Whatever it takes, and that could be a combination of things. but we're open to anything. And again, like I said, we need your help. I'll say this to a parent, come on out on the floor, or who do you have with you today that's with your son or daughter from an outside agency? I talk with them, come on out, let's work together with this. Because we just want people to be successful, however that looks, and have a good experience afterwards. So, if I need 2 or 3 family members, and we've had siblings that will come out on the floor, and a lot of times the parents are funny, well, I didn't sign them, I don't care if you didn't sign them up, get them out here. I could care less about the dollar value on this. Let's just do what we gotta do and be successful.
I think I have this term, and I'm not sure where I got it from, but it's called continuum of support model. And it's basically you meet the individual within a continuum, right? Meet them where they're at and help them progress. So a prime example is Mighty Dunks basketball program at Parrington Community Center. I had a parent call me one day and said, hey, we lost our funding, we lost our space, can abilities movement help? I said, sure. So I got him into Parrington Community Center, and we started running a program, and I started supporting him, and we created this continuum. So we had individuals who were afraid to join a program. So like our fitness trainers would work with an individual, develop skills and strength and stuff to do that, introduce them to a skill development team, working on skill development and all those things. And then there's an option to go up and do a competitive, which is pretty intense with some young individuals. And then also some of the competitive players would play pickup basketball at Parent Community Center in a general class. And then we had a few of our competitive players we'd like to coach. So we created this, we call it coach and training program, where they come down to our skill development team, and we have 4 or 5 coaches a year each season to help coach the skill development team. So you have a full continuum of supports. And we try to do that within everything. Kayaking, the same thing. You can start on land I had a family who started on land, and then they end up buying a kayak and kayak independently now after a couple of years of training. These are the things that we try to do, is meet the individual, provide the supports, resources, equipment, and continue to help them grow in that. So.
Yeah, so at Spotted Rabbit, because we are doing therapy or therapeutic-based arts, we're not just helping individuals learn how to make different kinds of art or use different materials, but also how to open up, how to have relationships, how to communicate. I think especially having relationships with people outside the home is really important, especially as they get prepared to have staff and things as they transition into adulthood. So it's very individualized. So we have staff that come into classes and do the art with the individual. We have staff that just kind of come in and sit to the side. We have parents that come in, where it's more maybe family therapy and we're talking about things together as a group. We have a couple individuals where, just their needs coming out to the space is too much, right? So we can do sessions online, where they have a helper at home that we can kind of direct. And we are now in an opportunity where we can start to offer some in-home services as well, if that's ever something that folks need. Yeah.
Great. So because we have a number of different programs, the level of involvement varies greatly. I think if I'm looking at something like our Social Squad program, we actually created that as an opportunity for parents or caregivers to be able to drop the participants off. So on like a Friday night, Social Squad is happening. We don't want parents or staff to stay. We want the individuals to come, and it's just as much about the parents getting a couple hours to go out to dinner or do something as it is for the individuals to then have their social time. And within that Social Squad setting, we're working on some soft skills of communication or appropriate levels of friendship. How many times is okay to call somebody on your cell phone? Some of those conversations naturally happen, and they're guided by different professionals that are involved each week. Then you look at our adaptive writing side, and in some of those programs, I have students that the parent being there is a huge support, and they want to be part of the lesson. Parents that thank me because they get just as much out of it coming and being part of things as maybe their student does. And then I also have lessons where the parents are or caregivers or staff are so relieved to be able to sit back and watch those successes happening from even behind glass, where it's just getting to watch and not having to be part of facilitating a moment that is successful, or a moment that is a struggle, letting somebody else take charge and be able to work through some of the things that can evolve or happen in a lesson. I would say we're a great mixture of those things. Transportation to us is definitely something, you know, as you look at that, that's always a need. We are out in Honeyway Falls, so to get to us, it definitely you need to be able to have a ride if you're coming from anywhere not right in town.
Yeah, I can relate a lot to what's being said. Sometimes we have ComHab come in and the individual just wants to, they feel more comfortable with their caregiver or their parent to sit in on the class, and that's okay. A lot of the times we do a half an hour of lesson in a classroom. We're right on the board and we do improv acting. It's a lot of fun. And then the last half an hour is typically in the recording studio. And a lot of the times the parents want to put on the headphones and they want to listen to their student or the ComHab. What I do, that's pretty typical. Sometimes though, I'll get an individual, and this is a unique in our organization or our company. We'll have somebody who's selectively mute. And, you know, the challenge of somebody who's selectively mute going into a voice acting class, you know, the irony is there. I would say that it's been pretty amazing because as soon as that person felt comfortable with us in the studio, all of a sudden they just opened up. In fact, I'll tell one really fast story. Had an individual who all he does all day long is wear headphones and he's on his phone, right? Doesn't want to do anything else. Doesn't say anything to anybody, doesn't want to communicate with anybody. But the moment I put him into a podcast setting, he's talking like we would all just talk. And I found that happened when he's away from, I guess, a mundane or a very typical day where he's around parents or he's around ComHab. He feels different in that setting than he does anywhere else. So I try to give the students as much flexibility, whether they want the parent to come in or not. I also try to gauge, how does this individual act? Even if they don't say anything to me, how does this individual act? Do I recognize they have more confidence when they're alone with me versus when somebody else is in the room? So it's been very interesting discoveries.
I gotta say one thing that just happened recently. We just did the adapted hiking program, and our second hike was a guided hike with one of my fitness clients, a young man with nonverbal autism. And we've run this park and know this park really well. He did this guided hike with 15 individuals. I was never so proud of this kid. I mean, nonverbal. He was high-fiving, you know, stopping and looking, making sure he didn't get ahead. And it was just absolutely amazing to see him do this guided hike. And it's just so cool to see him continue to grow. So it's just, no matter what, however it is, however they communicate, however they act, however the sounds, you just learn to communicate in their way. And they just it's pretty cool.
I just want to jump in. I think that's why it's so important for them to try out all these different things, right? Like, you know, you might take them to art class and it's a bomb, but you take them on a hike and it's their thing and they open up. You know, I think we all have those, you know, I have the same kind of story of, yep, I put this material in front of someone and they never talked. They just stared at the wall and now they're interacting.
Yeah.
And so I think for parents, you know, that can be frustrating when you're taking them from thing to thing to thing and it's not always working. But I think when the magic is when you find that thing and you see your child light up.
Yeah.
Very cool. How old does a student have to be to do your programs? And also, what type of, like, do you do self-direction, or are you covered by insurance, or how would a parent or a caregiver pay for the services? Just curious.
So our programs start at age 5 and go up through as old as you can. It's limitless. We do have self-direction. We do direct billing, so the parent, caregiver doesn't have to worry about one more thing to do. We, in some cases, will also do scholarship. I've had situations where families will tell me, listen, we're not going to renew for this next session because there's been some issue medically or something like that. And I tell them, listen, I'm never going to have somebody that wants to be here worry about money. We'll take care of it. You can get in there, let's go. So, you know, although we do, this is not my primary method of income. I have another full-time job in law enforcement. This is something I do because I love to do it. I never let money be an issue. If you want to come out and do it and something, you know, life happens and you have a hardship, it happens to everybody in some way, shape, or form. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Just show up. But we do self-directed. All our classes meet the criteria for that. So we do the direct billing. But age 5 and up.
I don't know. I guess my background in adapted PE, I was an integrated adapted PE teacher for Augustin's Children's Center, so 18 months and up. So I have my youngest fitness client was about 2 years old to 89. So a variety of people, a variety of just different abilities from, you know, obviously intellectual and developmental disabilities, but to neurological impairments, paralysis. So it ranges for as far as fitness and stuff like that. But I think with some of the programming that we do, like Mighty Dunks is like 14 and up. And so that's, you know, that's their age that they set for that. A lot of times we'll let some of the younger kids come in if they feel like they can fit well into the group. Hiking, I encourage families all levels. We'll carry a child with us, whatever we need to do. We'll get backpacks for them. I have adapted buggies, stuff like that, go on trails. So, and then kayaking, again, I've had all ranges of ages and abilities. For funding wise though, like on the Canals program, everything's free. So when I do a program, whether it's group, individual, kayak fishing, it's all free for an individual to come explore with me. And then as far as fitness, you know, we build through self-direction and things like that for individuals who have that. And those who do not, we really try to, again, just like you're saying, try not to allow money to be that concept. So if anybody has like a physical disability, we have some funding through like Endless Highway and through Golisano Foundation to try to create some opportunity for them for either a fitness membership for a year or whatever to help them do that, and some personal training. So it really try not to allow money to be that concept of them not allowing them to get out in the community. I think transportation is a huge one, is a big goal of Carolee Fennessy and I and some of the people from Rock Inclusive Collective are working on a model and funding through Uber and different things, and working with small transportation companies on training them to say, okay, hey, if I have a person who has a 10-week program, they live here, they want to go here for a 10-week program, how can we either offset it or cover the cost of that and start to build funding for that, because transportation is a huge part of it. So that's doesn't exist. I mean, we're in the beginning, so don't call me for transportation, but we're working on that and working on those models to really try to help our families access programming and stuff. So does that answer everything? Okay.
Yeah, so jumping off of the transportation, our Monroe office in Brighton is actually on the RTS Access. We're on a bus line that comes by really often. Unfortunately, our Pittsford office got removed, even though it's, you know, just that far off. But we do, I don't know if all parents know that they can use their self-direction budget to also pay for Uber, Lyft, and some of those other services. So we have people that take those. Also, they can have their staff drive them or parents drive them to places. So just because our classes are an hour long and you have to stay focused and stay in a room, we ask that folks be kind of, you know, on the closer end of 5. You know, if there are 4 and almost 5, it's fine. But mostly it's how well can they sit and have focus. And then, yeah, we go up all ages. We direct bill self-direction. We've also had clients submit for reimbursement through FSS, I think Family Support Services. All right, finally got it right. We also have some providers that are in network with MVP commercial plans. Unfortunately, no Medicaid or Medicare at this time. We also have interns from the local schools, so those would be second-year graduate students in art therapy who can offer no cost or reduced cost sessions. So if someone doesn't have, isn't set up with OPW or has other things going on, we're able to meet those needs as well.
Horses are expensive.
Thank you.
They cost a lot of money. We do build through self-direction. We start, typically we say at the age of 3, although just this week somebody at 14 months, somebody reached out. And my answer was not no to that, because again, as I mentioned, services could be from coming to be establishing a routine at the facility, coming in, putting a helmet on. Maybe it's coming and even just being in the barn with horses, depending on the individual. Spending 2 years with us working on that would be appropriate to set them up to be successful and to be able to move into our riding programs as space became available. We do currently have a wait list for our adaptive riding program, which means I'm seeing younger and younger people getting on it so that they are ready to then jump in when we call them. We did try to meet that need by building a second arena, which has been hugely impactful, I would say, in getting the number down on our waiting list. Everybody wants to come between the hours of 3 and 8 p.m., and it's really hard to cram all of the people that want to come in the space and still provide them that one-on-one opportunity or small group session that feels appropriate for meeting their goals and helping them have it be a customized lesson. So I would say maybe 14 months. I don't know yet, to be determined if I'm going to go there or not, but typically from the age of 3 up all the way up to, I don't have a cap at the top. I've had somebody into their 90s that continue to ride with us. So it's a beautiful thing. I think about some of these unique opportunities. I don't know about anybody else here, but we don't have like a cap. It's not like you come for 10 weeks and then you're done with us. We have people that 21 years ago when we started this program are still here and with us, which has been beautiful to see. It's a family setting. It doesn't turn into you're here for 10 weeks and then your time with us is done. There's always new goals or ways to progress and move people along and keep them, if they want to be there and participating, engaged in the service.
Yeah, that's a great point. I find that too. That's a
Yeah.
really awesome thing. We accept self-direction. We direct bill, which makes it so nice for the parents. And I've had students come in as young as 6, 7. I did have somebody even younger. It's not ideal. They like screaming in the microphone. That was fun. But no, they just when you're in a recording, if anybody's ever been in a recording studio, it's not like it's not a fun room, you know. It's like you're surrounded by a pad and a microphone and this and that. So I try to keep the ages, around that 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up, limitless. And it's been great. That's it. Did I answer the question? Okay.
It does sound as if all of you individualize the programming and really kind of look at the child and or the family and what goals they want to accomplish. But if you had to pick one takeaway that your student or that your family is going to get from your program, what would it be? I know you said build confidence. Somebody else said build trust. Those are all super important, but I guess if you had to pick something more specific, and I guess, Chad and I have crossed paths a few times. My children have not taken classes at his particular studio, but it always makes me laugh because when my children are around Chad, I have 4 nonverbal children, and they are as loud as they ever are around Chad. I say one in particular is the bossiest nonverbal child there ever could be. And when Chad plays his music and he engages the children, my children in particular, that my one that is almost silent makes noise the entire time he's around Chad, and it's really, really cool to see. What kind of specific to your services that you have, what is, it doesn't have to be the one takeaway, but what is one thing that you hope a child or a family takes away from a session or your services?
I wanted to answer this. So this one's incredibly important to me because I'm not a therapist, right? I'm not a professional in that way. I'm just a voice acting teacher. But what Casano Studio has become is this opportunity to change a life, right? We're all after that. And one of the things that I want to see changed is not just the confidence in the individual, that they were able to speak differently than they did before I met them. More profoundly, think more clearly, decide more indefinitely. We have exercises in our classes where it gets you to think ahead in story, to not be so reliant on a script necessarily, but to think about what the other person is thinking about. And what I find a lot of the times is when a student comes in, they have no experience with voice acting, they don't have experience in acting at all, they just kind of want to try it out. That a lot of the times they don't typically think that way. They might be isolated in their own world, whatever that might be. They might be surrounded by individuals who think like them. But the moment you start putting a challenge on them, like, hey, if I inflect my voice this way, how is that other person going to feel? All of a sudden, you get this diversity. We work a lot with intonation. And those who might not know what intonation is, it's just the ups and downs of our tones, right? It means literally movement of tones. When we inflect or we intonate our voice, it's communicating to other individuals how they feel. And in voice acting, what a professional director is looking for is they're looking for choices. This individual walks into a restaurant and has to do something. Well, a professional director, if you're going to a movie or a cartoon or something, they're going to say, give me a series of 3. Give me a series of 4. Give me 5 flavors. And unless you know what that is, what they're saying is, keeping the same emotion, keeping the same character, how could you say those lines in different ways to get somebody to feel a certain way? It's pretty technical, but you could do it in a very simplistic way where they understand that if I say something in a certain way, it's going to get a certain reaction. So I'm sorry to be long-winded with that, but that is, it's sort of become a staple in our company to get people to speak in a very diverse way to mean different things. And that's been very important to us.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. I mean, I didn't really phrase my question really well, but the whole point of our panel being complementary therapies, we didn't want to use the word alternate because that almost makes it sound, it almost has some semblance of a tiny little negative connotation. I think all of the services that you guys offer are kind of outside of the typical thinking in terms of a practitioner or a therapist. You know, when you send a child to a PT, especially in a school setting, you generally want to build strength or coordination, improve coordination or balance or, safety or something along those lines. Speech, often it's like, let's improve articulation. You guys all, I think, have services that in outside of the box ways work on some really, really, really important skills for individuals in general, and then particularly for individuals with disabilities. So that is exactly what I was asking, was, kind of in the roundabout way, how are your services beneficial to the individuals that you serve?
I think it's, helping the person as a whole. I know I can help somebody move, but how do I help them be successful in that engagement in a fitness center, things like that. So I call it success through engagement and stuff like that. So I have a young woman who was 28 when I first met her, CP, nonverbal, deaf. just kind of went about her way. Nobody really knew how to communicate with her. Speech was trying to do some stuff, but literally within a couple sessions, I could see that she was engaging. Brought her to Peters Family Life Center, and right now she has probably 7 friends that are neurotypical that come in the fitness center and just thrive on seeing her. And she sees her, and she's engaging. And when they're there, that girl moves. When they're not, it's like trying to coax her, but she has this little way of this little shimmy shake when she sees them, and that just teaching those guys that's their communication. They're happy, but it's that success through engagement, whether it's helping them move, helping them communicate. Like we created a communication board, working with a speech therapist on that, communicating with a physical therapist on incorporating sensory integration, and those working with ComHab on working with that person as a whole, increasing that communication with them, and helping that person in the whole community around them. I think that's the piece that I try to bring and teach, to help them be successful. It could be the smallest thing. I had this one young woman who barely could move. Our goal was to brush her hair. Took a year. She finally got the grip strength, got it up there, and the first time she combed her hair, oh my God, that smile, the goals around them. So those are the things, I guess, for us.
I'm going to feed off of you with that. Like, we definitely look at, again, all those different services, right? I mean, your language development as you're riding the horse, naturally there's some progression that happens. We are not speech therapists. We are not mental health counselors or therapists. We are therapeutic horseback riding instructors providing a service, and through that service, naturally, some of those things happen. There's core strength development and coordination and confidence and all of those pieces. Because we have a versatile program, right? If you ask me to describe what's the one thing across the board, we're talking horses, we're talking nature, I'm going to say connection, whether that's with the horse, whether that's with the volunteers. We have over 200 volunteers that jump in to make lessons happen every week, and whether it's, I look at some of the connections that people are making with other people are making with horses, people are making even with grounding in the earth, right? Or learning about how to plant, or that where food comes from, or healthy choices in food selection. All of that, I'm going to go with connection as our word.
I would say self-acceptance. I know here we're talking a lot about folks who have pretty significant or multiple disabilities. At Spotted Rabbit, we work with folks all over the spectrum. I have a client that she just turned 70, and I was the first one in her life to be like, I think you're autistic. She's spent her entire life feeling like she's broken, she didn't fit in, being on disability, the diagnoses she's having don't fit. We see so many people that are like, why is life so hard? Why can't I keep a job? Why can't I find a significant other? Or why is parenting my children so hard? And it's like, well, you are sensorily overwhelmed having young ones, right? And so I think we're able to give them these answers of, there's nothing wrong with you, you just think differently. And if we can learn to embrace those, and I think that's why it's so important that all of our clinicians have neurodivergence themselves to be able to say, hey, I made it through. Hey, you can have a job. You can have a real job, right? You can get married. You can have these things. You can, right? And to see an actual future, or to see things, right, even if they take a year or more to get there, but to know that they can get there.
Hey, to kind of piggyback off that, and I'm trying to get our students to get to their potential. Because I think sometimes, even as parents, we kind of limit or think we know what they can and can't do. I've had some parents, I say, today we're going to do this. Like, they can't do that. Just watch. It's amazing. So I don't put any limits on them. I'm trying to get each student, regardless of their age, to maximize whatever potential that is. And it looks different for everybody. We had a mother the other day saying, geez, I can't believe, when we first got to you, 8 years ago, Dee couldn't even walk without falling down. And now he's a black belt candidate in our juniors program. And I said to her, I said, well, you did all the work. I mean, we'll provide, I'll give you a service, but the parent has to understand, hey, you know what, maybe they can do these things. Maybe sometimes I'm kind of putting restraints on them. And I run into that a lot at different fairs and things like that, because it's called jujitsu buddies, or, well, you know, I don't want them fighting. It's not fighting. I don't care about the technique of the program. I care about what is this child or adult going to do when they leave my place? Are they going to have social interactions? Are they going to have friends? It's great when they get together, and they come from all different places, and now you find out, hey, that they're on, you know, Instagram together or whatever, social media together. They're hanging out with each other. That's huge, because they would never do that outside of this. They create these connections and these relationships, not only with me and my other instructors, but with each other. So I think it's, you know, just how do we get them to reach their potential, whatever that is, socially, physically, and with relationships. And then we just go from there. And everybody's different. So I have a lot of fun with that. It's the best part of my week when I work with these kids. It really is.
I got this one guy I work with, and he's 23, transitioned into the community, and I said, okay, we're throwing away Mama's Boy. Mama's Boy's gone. Big LB now, Big LB, and we go through our steps of Big LB. Like, you got to get your swim bag ready. If you don't, it's not Mama's responsibility. You can't just sit around going, help me. You know, so I'm like, throw the Mama's Boy away, and he's nonverbal. He's like, he does this sign, like, what do we do with Mama's Boy? He's like, throw it away.
Yep.
Don't need it. You know, so it's fun.
I just want to check in the audience. Does anybody have a question they would like answered?
Thank you. I just have one question to either one of you. Working with parents, what would you say, what would your message be to get over that fear that so many parents have about getting their kids into these programs?
I think going to trusted resources, you know, you have an amazing panel here, and you have other resources that are on that list. Some key people like Anita O'Brien at REA, to Endless Highway, Carly Fennessy, really developing those key people that are going to create that bridge for you, that success. Now, I don't mean to criticize the resource list, but listen, the resource lists are resource lists. But if you can develop a few people that you know you can reach out to, whether it's Julie Buick or some, you know, like all these names that people you trust that know the resources that are successful, like fitness. I would hope that you'd reach out to me, because I've been in through other field and I have people that can help, you know. So really developing those help parents to develop trusted resources that help that bridge and develop that confidence. Like, if I say you can go to Great Day Personal Training and I will be there every step of the way to help your son or daughter be successful, I mean, that would hopefully help them feel that they can go do that.
I think the challenge is making sure people are aware of the resources. I meet so many people who have their kid has a self-direction plan and they go, I can't spend it on anything. I'm like, what do you mean you can't spend it on anything? There's like 1,000 services you could use it on. And they're like, well, where's this list? Or my service coordinator didn't share anything with me. They didn't know what they didn't know to ask. And so I think, you know, to piggyback off of you, if they can meet one person, because we do have so many of these gatherings and tabling events and things, I know other agencies know us, and so we can start to create that network too, if they can just, if we can get their foot in the door to one of these conversation starters, I guess, yeah.
I think sometimes the parents are worried. I ask them, what are you worried about? What are you scared of? Because I think sometimes, and as a parent of 2 kids with developmental disabilities, you know, sometimes the ego gets in the way a little bit, right? I don't want to be judged. If my kid's in this program or in this class and, man, they are just not having it, you know, all eyes going to be on me. And that's the nice thing about our class. I said, listen, we've seen it all. Wardrobe malfunctions, we've seen everything probably under the sun, and there's a few things where we're like, oh, okay, that's new. We're all in the same boat.
Just roll with it.
Yeah.
So I think once you kind of get that monkey off your back of, oh my God, am I going to be looked at or judged, you start getting supports of other parents that are there. And hey, what do you know, whether it's IEPs, in dealing with districts and things like that, the parents end up getting more resources from each other once you realize, hey, we're all in the same boat. And, there's going to be days that, sometimes you're the fly, sometimes you're the windshield. And some days are going to be good, and some days are not going to be good at all for whatever reason. But so what? We're just all in this together. And I think once you kind of be vulnerable enough to say, okay, I'm going to give this a shot, whether it's any of these things, I think you're going to see, oh, okay. It's not all about you as the parent. It's about what's my son or daughter, what do I want for them?
I think some of it comes also with those conversations beforehand and getting to know and creating that level of communication with the parents, what's going to be, what the expected outcome is, right? That's we're going to just put the helmet on. I'm going to go back to that. That's it. Let's take the worry away. It's not we're going to take your kid and put him on a horse and we're going to go and this is going to be great and this is it. It's we're going to put the helmet on today. We're going to break it down and we're going to move at this pace. We're meeting you where you are. I think also establishing, we've seen it all too. Like that, it's okay if they scratch me. It's okay. I'm not gonna. It's okay. We've got this. We've got them, and we've got you. We're gonna get through this, and we're gonna keep talking and navigate it together as much as we can.
Yeah, everything everybody's saying, I also have experienced. A lot of the times I'm just telling parents to, why don't you come to the first lesson as long as your student, if the student really truly doesn't want the parent there, then we'll work that out. But even if they just wait in the waiting room or they come and see the studio, sometimes that's all it takes. I just try to encourage them. Like, look, a lot of the times I have no idea what the student potential is. And then all of a sudden, once they see life changing a little bit, they're like, okay, we can handle that, that's good. But there's a little bit of doubt, a little bit of fear, especially with my home studio. You're coming into my house. Nothing weirder than that. Walking into someone's house, Lori's making dinner over here, the kids are running around. But once they go down and they see the studio, it's like, okay, it's a different world down here.
I think one of the things, like with the Rock Inclusive Collective, Nita O'Brien have been sitting down with strong pediatrics. How do we help doctors say, here's some resources? You're hearing your patients and your family saying, we need this. Having just a brief thing that we can hand and say, reach out to some key people that can help direct you in those services and supports. Together Now, I forgot what the name, sorry. My Wayfinder through Together Now, they're building a database where you have parents and can sign up, put all your needs in it, and then you have a database of resources, and then when you answer all these questions, it filters this over. So as they develop this and
is it Navigate MD? Is that
no,
what it is?
Navigate MD is creating another resource
okay.
list.
All right.
But Together Now is like a state-funded,
Okay.
United Way money, all this money coming in, but the database idea of giving information is so huge. So if you can be connected to those resources, direct contact, because I don't want to send people to a website, okay, then how do they navigate it? Mm-hmm. Some people need that red carpet to help them say, here, I got a trusted resource, a trusted person that you can contact is huge, not just call this agency. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big step that we're trying to overcome and help. So.
Well, it is 12 o'clock,
Yeah, there you
and
go.
so I want to thank you all for being on the panel today. You are fabulous. This is one of my favorite panels we've had. We always say that, but this is wonderful. You guys did amazing. And I'm a trusted resource here at the Webster Public Library, Parents Helping Parents, Coalition of Monroe County. Parent to Parent is here too. We're all great organizations that can also help, but yes, I'm so glad that we have the great resources that we have in this community, and thank you again.
Thank you for organizing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have some business cards over on the table for Abilities Movement if anybody wants to reach out and have a conversation.